I'm Arun Sukumar. I'm with the Center for Communication and Governance at the National Law University, Delhi. This is my second ICANN meeting. The first ICANN meeting that I went to was earlier this year in Singapore, ICANN 52. And I am a member, or rather a participant of the Cross-Community Working Group on Accountability. And this is my first opportunity to meet face-to-face with the group. The Center for Communication and Governance is a body that, among other things, tracks internet governance globally as well as the domestic level. So my immediate motivation is, of course, as a member of a prominent university, track what is happening at ICANN regarding the IANA transition specifically and with internet governance, and ensure that developments in this regard on what's happening at ICANN, what's happening on the IANA transition front, is communicated to stakeholders back home. One of our mandate is to brief stakeholders before every key internet governance event. So before ICANN 52, we had a briefing session in New Delhi where we would be telling, so at this briefing session, we communicated to stakeholders what the current status of the IANA transition was, what were the different communities doing, and what were the draft proposals regarding the IANA transition all about. These are highly technical and somewhat complex legal issues. We are a bunch of lawyers. We're not technically competent to comment on several aspects of the DNS. But on the legal and policy front, what we do is to keep track of what's happening, especially now in the ICANN and the IANA transition front, and ensure that stakeholders in India, especially stakeholders who do not have the resources to come to every ICANN meeting, are up to date or at least broadly aware of what's happening in the various meetings across the year. I think ICANN accountability is an issue that many stakeholders in India are keenly interested in following. ICANN's accountability to the larger community, which, if I may say, goes beyond, in my opinion, strictly beyond the SOs and the ACs, and to include communities that have not been able to find that kind of representation in the SOs and the ACs, in terms of geography, in terms of gender, age, and regional representation. What I will be doing, going back to once I am in New Delhi, is to tell stakeholders that the CCWG accountability is currently talking about two work streams. Work stream one regarding the IANA transition, and the second work stream to talk about general aspects of ICANN accountability. I suspect work stream two will be of more interest to stakeholders because they are keenly interested in the principles of accountability that will evolve after the IANA transition is over. ICANN is such a complex organization and something that is grounded at the moment in US law. So I'm a lawyer. It helps that I can get my head around some of the legal stuff. But on ICANN's working in practice, it's something that needs getting used to. So on the one hand, I am finding out more about ICANN as I attend more meetings and participate in online discussions. But the broad intent is, the first priority is to let people back home know that there is something called ICANN. This is an institution that has acquired a great deal of prominence on the internet governance front. The IANA transition has become a matter of great global debate. What is ICANN's role in this? So I am learning on the one hand, but at the same time, I am going back to my community, so to say, and letting people know that this is what is happening. It has, to be frank, it has been an uphill task to be part of the institutional culture at ICANN, to be an active participant in ICANN discussions, because I have found that there are some concerns with diversity that ICANN needs to address immediately, especially around the context of the IANA transition and in the timeline that follows soon after. And personally, I have found that it takes a whole lot of warming up to sitting in on several meetings and then finding your voice and finding your feet in these cross-community meetings, as well as other ICANN constituencies meetings. But I guess I am backed by my university and the center, and fortunately we have the resources to make it to ICANN meetings. So my experience in the Istanbul meeting has been different from my my voice in the wilderness experience at Singapore, where I did not come on an ICANN fellowship, and it was difficult to frankly break into coteries and meetings or constituencies that have already been formed. But here, it's a much smaller group. You've already established a rapport with several of them online. And it's been easy to communicate, exchange ideas, even though they may not be entirely acceptable to people sitting across the table. But it's a gradual process. But I suppose my point would be that a lot of people back in India do not have the opportunity to keep coming to ICANN meetings.